Wow, June! We're already halfway through the year! June is about building your strength. June Divider is all about your experience of strength. It can be character strengths that shaped your thoughts and actions, talents that make you bloom where you are planted, skills that you are sought for, and interests that you enjoy and make you shine. What does it take to cultivate your strength? The first step is to choose the right strength to develop. Have a positive attitude, committing to an attainable goal, accessing the right tools, and the vulnerability to ask for support will also help you work towards becoming a physically, mentally, and emotionally strong person capable of pursuing anything. Acknowledge your strengths. This page is filled with adjectives. Encircle, color, or design 5 to 7 adjectives that best describe you. Knowing your capabilities will help you use them more effectively. That's it! We hope this was helpful, and let's all become physically, mentally, and emotionally strong, capable of pursuing anything.
Hello! Hi, everyone! It's the fourth Wednesday of the month, and that means you're watching us in the BDJ Studio Learning Series with MindNation, a well-being organization that helps you take care of your mental health. In this series, we cover mental health topics and provide you with insights and tools to cultivate a better mind and better you. So, guys, every Wednesday, we have a giveaway mechanics. I have a surprise guest, my daughter. One viewer will win an Essentials notebook and a Dare to be Grateful cards. Just sign up at go.bdj.studio/sign up and comment with your key takeaways. So thanks, guys. Please do message us in the chat box where you're watching us from, because we are live and we want to be able to interact with everyone. And we're so excited and we're having fun. We want to start off tonight's conversation. So please, let's invite in my co-host for tonight and co-host for this series, the Chief Marketing Officer of MindNation, Kat. Hello, Kat.
Hi! Hi, Lizdar! It's okay. Hi, everyone. Hello, Bellas to the MindNation family and everyone that's joining us this evening. It's my favorite time of the month because we get to talk more about mental health and everything that will help take care of our well-being. Dar, how are you? This is a clear example of the realities of a working mom.
Yes. I didn't expect that. I was doing the intro, tapos biglang parang it's ups and downs, I think, 'di ba? Parang coming from honesty. Like this is the purpose of us checking in with each other, with our community every fourth Wednesday of the month. Just to remind each other, guys, we also need some time to like pause, rest, and acknowledge all these feelings that we're having. Kasi
Absolutely.
syempre, our world is still very much different from what it was before, and I'm sure there's still a lot of acceptance in our journey right now.
Absolutely. And we'll talk a bit more about that later. But now we're going to say just hellos to our friends that are already watching this tonight. Christine,
Yes.
Kelly, Chico, hi. Nika,
Hello.
there we go. Everybody is coming from everywhere. Kelly, hello also. Please do share this, if you can, share this live stream so that more people get to watch along with you and learn along the way. We have an extra special guest coming with us to talk about our topic for this night.
Tonight. So, talking about the topic, so June, as everyone knows, is Pride Month, and Pride is a celebration of the LGBTQ plus community, as evidenced by the festive Pride parades around the world. But it's also an acknowledgement of the continuing fight for equality and acceptance, inclusivity, and of course, LGBTQ plus rights.
That's right, Dar. I cannot stress any further that this is a very, very important issue. Millions of people within the LGBTQ plus community are still struggling and still fighting for equality and for fairness, or to even feel that they're human, that they're who they are.
Yes.
And this is
Mm-hmm.
what Belle de Jour, and this is what Mind Nation actively fights and advocates for, that we become our truest versions and the best versions of ourselves. So please, I encourage you all to participate in tonight's discussion, share your thoughts, ask questions if you have any questions about LGBTQ matters, especially to those that are not part of the community and don't know the struggles firsthand. It's critical we educate ourselves so that we become better allies and advocates.
Yes. Correct. Yes. So sorry.
Yeah, let's get
So our
ready.
guests, or let's get ready for another insightful conversation. And Kat, would you want to introduce our special guest for tonight?
Sure. I'm very excited and honored to introduce this guest. We worked together in the past year for Pride Month as well, when we worked on campaigns for Pride at Tech. JC Valenzuela is the founder and CEO of Propel Manila, one of the first digital creative agencies in the Philippines. Propel Manila aims to create and promote ideas that matter. In 2017, the agency established its culture department, and it has since been at the forefront of pushing for equality and the passage of the SOGIE Equality Bill. And JC and his partners have also founded AC Studios, a tech-infused content studio that aims to shape culture across Southeast Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between and all around, please welcome JC Valenzuela. JC?
Yay!
Hey, wow, what a
Hi!
warm welcome. Hi, Kat. Hi, Dar. Thank you for those kind, too kind, too kind.
We're so excited to have you here, JC, and it's just a special night for us. So let's get right into the important issue of inclusivity and equality, since that's our topic tonight. So, inclusivity is often used in the context of companies and organizations. So, maybe one question, like why is this topic even important?
I think from our end, especially in the creative industry, one would think that it's a bit parang easier, right, to accept people of
Mm,
different natures because, creativity is really a huge spectrum. But I think when you talk deeper on inclusivity, um, it's quite important on a work environment because I think great ideas come from diverse minds. If the boardroom is filled with the same exposure, the same kind of thinking, I think you'll always get flat out ideas. No? So from a working standpoint, obviously it works. Inclusivity works because it promotes diversity in thinking, diversity in accents. But apart from work, if you set that aside, parang it's just it's just a good thing to do as human beings, right? To be able to accept each other and to be inclusive in general. I know
Correct.
inclusivity is parang sometimes it's just a buzzword, diba? But
Mm,
if you trace it down talaga, it has great benefits both on a human capacity for work, but also human integrity in the way they kind of believe in what they can do as a person. So parang that's how important it is, at least also from a corporate setting.
absolutely. I think it broadens our perspective. Not only you're right, not only in the professional sense where you get to think outside of the box, hear other stories that you may not have experienced, see the world through a different eyes.
Yeah.
So, as a creative agency with Propel Manila, how have you guys been able to build that inclusive workspace?
Yeah. So I told you that back in 2017 there was like this boardroom decision to make sure that we have a culture point of view. I think a culture department, if you may call it, because it's not a department, right? Culture is everything. But a culture department really makes sure that both environment, so physical environment, both mindset, and those
Mm-mm,
mindsets are being translated into key policies are
mm-mm,
present. I'm a believer of systems, and if you attack 10 million problems
Mm-hmm.
with a system, you'll be able to kind of solve it more efficiently and broadly versus solving each problem one by one. So at the workplace, parang whatever our part, me and my partners, the whatever we believe in as human beings, we translate that into key policies. But it's not just all talk; it's really codified into our systems. No, so what's our point of view on health cards, right? What's our
Mm-hmm.
point of view on the littlest things like bathrooms or
Yes.
diba? I
mm-mm,
mean, I know sometimes it's like people think it's a small example, right? But I always tell this to people. You know, if you have someone who's brainstorming and naiihi na siya, and on top of the fact na naiihi na siya, she or he needs to think about which bathroom she needs to pee, that's almost 30 minutes away from what she needed to do to begin with. So it's inefficient from a business standpoint already. That's 30 minutes wasted away from her brainstorming and just contemplating, my God, where do I pee today? Diba? If you want to put it that bluntly. Parang, so all of these things being codified is quite important in the work environment, Kat.
yeah. I agree with that. I feel very strongly also that having that belongingness, that feeling of belongingness also brings out the best in people. If they don't feel like they can be themselves, who knows what kind of how much more they're hindering themselves to do great work.
Yeah, the
So it
Mm-hmm.
affects.
potential, diba? Unrealized
Mm-mm.
potential.
Correct.
Correct. Correct. I actually
Did she get cut?
I think we lost Dar.
Ayan,
Yeah,
go ahead,
Dar's
Dar.
back.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll wait for Dar to come back to us. Come back to us, Dar. Okay. But yes, I feel this strongly also. We actually do have research based on surveys we've done with MindNation and all the companies that we've worked with, because we do surveys. And a big part of what makes them feel like they want to stay and want to continue doing good work is the fact that they can be open and they can be themselves towards their bosses, towards their colleagues. So it's
Yeah,
good to, even if like for example, um we don't do that anyway, we don't discriminate anyway, even if it's an unsaid rule, it's like it feels like it's something that has to be said. And similar to what you guys are doing, it's similar, there has to be an actual group or culture department
culture
that
systems. Ang ganda.
exactly.
yeah. And
Dar, you are back.
I agree with
Yes,
that, Kat.
sorry.
Like, you know that expression na it's common sense naman, di ba? That they should have rights, why do we still even need to talk
Mm-mm.
about it?
Yeah.
Parang no, it's not
It's
common
not.
sense. It actually needs to be discussed, needs to be put
Mm-mm.
into a system, in a law. We should
Correct. Agree.
incentivize people that should do that,
Yes.
diba? Hindi kanya-kanya.
Correct. I really believe that kasi parang there's also on the women empowerment side. I mean, I'm not saying it's exactly the same, but parang what they're saying when it becomes inconvenient, the rights get diminished. So meaning if it's not inconvenient, like yeah, we're all happy, we'll allow this and that. Pero pag naging inconvenient na, sino yung magi-give in? And I think that's why the culture and the system needs to be there so that it's really parang I guess yun, more equal and more fair to everyone. It
Yeah.
allows for those
And
opportunities talaga.
not just that, like it allows ambiguity to be clarified.
Yes.
When
Ang ganda
people
nun.
are
Mm-mm.
when people are unsure of a certain example, like this is happening right now and it's quite unique, there's a playbook to step back on and kind of refer our values in the company, diba? So when things get blurry, you step back and say, what are the values ba talaga of the company? And then that should settle things, diba? And then
Yes.
if it wasn't in the previous handbook, that learning enables us to rewrite the handbook to be optimized. So it's a closed loop system, so to speak. It's harder done, obviously. It
Yes.
takes a lot of leadership, parang willpower. You need to
Agree,
be able
agree.
to translate that into productivity to your board, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because while your board will appreciate everything, the language at the boardroom is the bottom line.
Correct.
So as operational leaders, one of your key responsibilities of making sure that these things are codified is to make sure that it translates to the language upstairs.
Correct,
And,
correct.
'di ba? So, marami, it's super complex, 'di ba? But I think it can be done.
Yeah, I think that's also the same thing about what we're fighting for with MindNation and mental health, right? It's not
Exactly.
something that you can see, and when you're trying to say like, oh, we need a mental health policy, the
Correct.
questions that decision makers ask is, how does that translate to my bottom
To work.
line?
Yes.
Yeah, whatever
Yes.
Correct.
I've been doing now has been working so far. Why do I need to change?
Correct. Correct. And imagine, Kat, ha, from a mental health standpoint, it took a pandemic for us to quantify the value of clarity of mind,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
Mm-mm.
Now everyone understands the feeling of some mental irregularity, right? At least at some
Yeah.
point there's more consciousness on it, and it now really impacts work. My God,
Correct,
diba?
correct. Exactly.
Yeah,
Now it's a priority na for employers also to look at that even if their employees are working at home, they still need to consider the mental health and the balance that needs to
correct,
be done
correct.
across like virtually, diba?
Yeah. When Kat and I
Agree.
did a Pride project last year, that was kind of the narrative. This underlying parallel pandemic that's happening beside COVID is mental health, diba?
Correct, correct.
And
Yeah.
if you overlay mental health with LGBTQ issues,
Yes.
we have staff that are trapped in their homes because of lockdown, but
Oh,
they're not welcome.
accepted. Yes.
Yeah, so they're being mocked in an environment where it's supposed to protect them, right?
Correct, correct.
So you can imagine the double whammy
Yeah.
Yeah.
situation of that person.
Psychological torture.
So
Correct,
how does
correct.
that how does Propel play a role in that? Do they play an active role in that? If someone, for example, a direct report comes to you and says, "This is what's happening at home. At home, I'm not out of the
Yeah,
closet. I'm at home. I'm not myself, and I don't feel great." What is the first? Is does Propel do anything about
yeah.
this?
So this is a perfect example of an example that you might not have forecasted when you were writing your handbook for
Yeah.
culture, right? So a pandemic happens, and this thing, we have had some requests of people trapped in their homes. And obviously, our offices are closed, right? It takes some level of operations to open it, to sanitize it, to make sure that it's ready for anyone to come in anytime.
Agree.
So
Mm-hmm.
so number one is there's a system where our human resources and our culture has an open dialogue. So there's an
Mm-mm.
atmosphere that you can reach out. That's number one. So number two is when they reached out, yan na yung blurriness and ambiguity that I was talking about. So we took a step back, our partners, kasi walang rule di ba? And then we now prioritize, but that's mental health of a person that we want to be productive at the same time versus a cost of a messenger opening the office.
Yeah.
Obviously, we need to take care of the messenger too. Diba? I'm not deleting them, but both of them now would need a private shuttle. You get it?
Yes.
So
Yep.
Mm.
so you make certain decisions like that on the fly, but you are parang comforted with your decisions because you're stepping back and anchoring back to your value systems.
Mm.
So, at the end of the day, if it failed or if it succeeded, if it failed, kunyari, walang sisihan sa partners. Kasi that's what we believed at the time that
Correct.
we
Correct.
needed to do eh. 'Di ba?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine
Agree.
that happening 100 times. Kunyari lang ha. Kunyari 100
Mm-mm.
times and your CFO says, my God, skyrocket expense. 'Di ba? So, that's where you kind of test your priorities if if kasi sabi nga namin this is when your culture is put into a test, adversity, 'di ba? Are you all talking
Correct. Correct.
or can you do something about it?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Agree.
But it's so tough, right?
It's so
It's
tough.
these decisions you're not prepared to make, and all
Mm-mm.
you have in life is just your sentido común, so to speak, and your values, 'di ba?
Right. JC, one of the things that I know you guys are very supportive of is of course the sexual orientation and gender identity expression, or the SOGIE Equality Bill. For those who are not familiar with it, can you give us an overview of the bill and why it needs to be passed into law?
Yeah. I think the bill just, I don't, for people who are watching, I'm not an expert on the bill, number one. And in my answering that question, I don't mean to water it down, but I'll try to make it simple because there are different diverse audiences watching. I think the SOGI bill, plainly put, is a protection bill for this particular segment of society that enables us to really have equitable rights to certain
Yes.
things. So I've talked about
Mm-hmm.
systems, and
Mm-hmm.
laws empower systems. We
Correct.
ha- we I was telling you guys in the backstage that this is like my fourth or fifth Pride talk this month alone, right? And you can see that for every company, there seems to be great, mediocre, none at all programs. That just means that it's not standardized, right?
Correct. Yes.
Laws enable companies to have a baseline on
Mm-hmm.
what should be provided for employees that are from this segment. So if HMO is only provided to the spouse,
Correct.
and if you can't, and if you don't have that, he in because of a law, for example, obviously it's not the same sex marriage law now, but I'm just saying,
Yes.
if you can't
Recognition,
if
yeah.
you can't recognize that because there's no laws for a company to recognize them, two things happen. It's either the company will self do it, self regulate themselves and do it, or they just won't do it at all, right?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
the law enables us to have a set of standards that institutions or even schools, diba? There's also conversations about uniforms and a trans man or a trans woman or someone identifying as someone else not wanting to wear a male uniform and
Mm-mm.
being kicked
Mm-hmm.
out of school.
Correct.
So
Correct.
it's practically just the bill that enables protection and
Mm-hmm.
enforcement of rights for that particular segment.
Yeah. I think the bill is really super important because yun, as you said parang as earlier what I was saying na if it becomes inconvenient, people parang it's easy to say, yeah, I support. Yes, let's do parang proactive like some policies in the company. But once it gets inconvenient, once it gets too costly, parang hindi na nila gagawin eh,
Yeah.
'di ba?
Because
Or
when it becomes convenient or controversial, dalawa lang naman yung wiring ng tao eh. It will now test you on what's important.
correct.
And then you choose, di ba? When you choose mas importante na naka-uniform lahat ng panglalaki-lalaki or babae-babae versus the happiness of a child or the
Mhm.
development of a child, then it speaks volumes of what is important. But see, there's no penalty kasi because there's no
Correct.
law. Kaya, di ba, it's also loose to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Kaya we're very much supportive of it. It's quite sad that since 2016, a new Congress came out and syempre back to zero, no? Back to zero yung progress. But I think that's life. And yeah, we just pull
We'll
through, di
continue
ba?
supporting you guys for the SOGIE bill, definitely.
Yeah.
I hope it
Absolutely. Pero
um
I guess like just to add to it, and it's I'm just echoing what you said earlier. Like, why is this still being up for discussion when it's so obvious? And so, what I want, and I maybe a lot of people are also wondering, is what are these common misconceptions that people have about the SOGI bill, and maybe we
Um,
can debunk those myths.
Yeah. It's really complex and I don't and there was a moment 2 years ago I think that it was almost discussed in the Senate. It was
Mm-mm.
there was some
yeah.
traction. But it's really complex in all fairness. So what do I mean? Parang and I'm not an expert ha, but I'm just saying na parang for example the ano tawag dito, the uniform example, right? There are overlapping ano kasi that syempre they'll enforce the right for ano 'di ba the school's right to impose certain rules XYZ. So I forget who told me this, but there was a training para lang ma-deconstruct mo yung decision. Sabi niya, so when there's two right things to do, kunyari it's right to protect that child but it's also right to protect the liberties of school. Kunyari lang. Parang you have to now decide on the mas mabigat, the mas important, which is
Mm-mm.
parang the child, di ba? But see,
Mhm.
it's a lot of debates and all of that, so
Yeah.
parang it's so complex. But it's really parang as Kat mentioned nga, di ba? Parang it's really not a pizza pie that if I take a slice,
You lose
parang
You
something.
lose.
you lose
Yeah, correct.
something.
Exactly, exactly. Nobody
Yeah.
loses. It's just that I think part of the things that happens is that there's really still sometimes a lack of acceptance that it's really a real thing and it's not made up. It's not exactly, I mean,
Yeah, there's arguments that meron na namang law to protect everyone's rights. Why do we
correct.
need something more special?
It's
Uh,
very all lives matter. That's what it
yeah,
is.
yeah. Diba? So parang I think there's some need to educate din talaga on
Correct.
what it is, what it impacts, diba? How it does not impact certain things
Correct,
or
correct.
Absolutely.
yeah, XYZ.
Yung sa
So
Mm.
akin
it's so
actually,
complex.
yeah, yung sa akin very basic eh, actually, the recognition of the partner. Parang I saw talaga parang in different
Sa
countries, like
hospital,
yeah, the hospital, the decisions,
yeah.
the
Mm-mm.
kuwari, who will make the decision, let's say, parang push comes to shove, like parang something bad happens, knock on wood, right?
Yeah.
Na parang, hindi ba parang ang
For me, it's
sakit
still my
nun?
parents. It's still my parents. It's not my fiance. It's
Mm.
gonna be my
Yeah,
parents. Diba? I mean, I love my parents, but you get me.
Yeah.
Parang
yes.
parang
Parang yun nga, doon ako
assu-
nasa stress.
assuming you're a millionaire and you die, it goes to
Mm-mm.
your ang
Your
tawag mo dun sa
parents or
family, yeah,
family,
it's
yeah.
not your spouse, diba?
Partner that parang
Yeah,
who's been with you for, I mean,
yeah.
X number of years, diba?
Then I was talking to my lawyer. I'll just make kwento, but I was talking to my lawyer. Like, so how can I get around this? And it was just funny because I have to form a corporation to
Oh.
be married. You get me? So
You guys
it's
are
the
legally together.
yeah. So it's the most romantic thing in the world, right? So you can just imagine
The
the
hassle to be
hassle.
great, and then the cost, because that will
Yeah.
cost you more money for a normal person to just get married. Gagawa ka pa ng
Yeah.
corporation.
Yeah. But yun,
Tapos
Soji
may
is not.
taxes ka pa, may filing ka pa, kung ano-ano pa.
Yeah, but Soji is not for same-sex marriage naman ba? But it's just the
Mm-mm.
right to have those little things,
This,
diba?
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
and
the
not to,
even if they don't acknowledge the marriage yet, I still hope that will be acknowledged. But I think the recognition, I think, is very important. And as you said, the education and just forming a bit of systems and certain policies to just
yeah.
be a bit more inclusive.
Yeah. Dali, no?
Yun nga, eh, parang
Yun lang
complicated, diba?
naman.
Because a lot of people think kasi that Pride Month is just all about, like all the rainbow flags. You see
Rainbows.
all these different brands just riding onto the rainbow
Mhm.
thing, and you think that it's all fun and games, and for the most part, yes, because it's so lively. But we forget that at the core of it, it's a rally. It started as a rally.
Yes,
It
correct.
started as it is still a movement, and there are so many people that are still struggling to
Mhm.
even be considered and be seen as who they are, which is so sad. So my question is, for a company like, for example, other companies that are in more traditional um, kind of phase, and they feel like, okay, I want to be able to take the first baby step to be more inclusive. What can they do?
I think for me, um, yung mga cosmetic environmental push kasi, kunyari, universal bathroom, yung mga cosmetic sa
Yeah.
environment ng company. I think that's easy, diba? But at the same time, I think that's superficial, and the cheapest first step, I think, is a SOGIE plan, meaning a SOGIE education. And it doesn't mean that your company needs to be ready in a month. I hope that from a top management, kunyari sobrang traditional, 'di ba? There can be milestones. There can be a roadmap presented to the population of the company, 'di ba? It's like zero waste. You won't get there tomorrow with eliminating plastic, right? But if especially for more traditional companies, I think just create milestones, a plan, a roadmap that enables you to get there by X date, diba? I think it's better than nothing. And the step one is making sure that everyone kind of understands just what sex is, gender identity is, what is intersex, why is it important to know these things, diba? Yung
Mm-mm.
he she pronouns. I mean,
Yeah.
there are a lot of baby steps that the culture department or HR department can kind of spearhead on, diba? Then they can just forecast the budget, a bigger budget next year, another bigger budget next year, another
Mm-mm.
bigger. Pero sana yung leaders, makonect nila sa bottom line din. It's the way to cut the
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
data naman eh, di ba? Para everyone
Mm-mm.
is happy. Everyone is getting there, and you
Yes.
you delete some of the villains of the world, di ba?
Yes.
By talking their language without diluting your point, but you need to talk. That's life eh, di ba?
Yes, we
We
need to talk.
we
We
kind of
need to
need to
have
dance a
conversations.
little, and
Yes.
so I think doon mga baby steps na gano'n, it's
May
important.
may question din ako, JC, kasi parang, so this is experience also in our company. So, in our company, when we started, it's not naman deliberate that we just hired all girls. It's just that because we were talking to a lot of women, parang we just ended up hiring mostly girls, 'di ba? But then later on, as parang there's a bit more awareness and more parang opening up of these things, 'di ba? So there are girls in our company or women in our company slowly coming out. And that's not a concern because parang I don't know if it's I studied in UP and I've experienced or I've seen so many different things.
But if
But
they're coming out in the company, it means it's a safe space to come out.
but at the same time, yung isang nakikita ko, parang it's not yet still as open. So I guess my question is, parang as a leader, like how do we create that space na like you mentioned like the education, should it be included like employee orientation, or is there something that we can show, because yun nga, we started predominantly women. There's like actually just one biological male in our company. Two. Ay, hindi, sorry. Three pala. Pero out of 25. Sorry, dumami bigla. But yun, kasi baka bigla magaya sa akin. Iba na yung label ko sa. But yun, so there's three. And then, so, but we do have people from the LGBTQ community, and they're also members of our Bella tribe. Actually, even in our earlier years, they would attend as a couple to our
Right.
events, and I was really happy to see that. But I don't know if we're doing enough, if that makes sense, to make it like, hey, it's really a safe space, because maybe some people feel it's okay, but some people don't feel it's okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I think parang if you step back from the LGBT topic, there's really a lot of marginalized topic. Probinsyano, babae, handicap, mental health,
Yes.
LGBT. I think kasi at the end of the day, the environment should be, how do you call it, merit based. Diba? In the environment
Mm-mm.
naman merit based,
Mm-mm.
and then you suddenly don't realize that you have a diverse sets of people, diba? And
Mm-mm.
in your case, people are coming out to a degree, and I guess it's because nga it's a safer space than usual, so to speak, diba? So I don't know if you're doing enough or you're doing more than enough, but I think the idea lang is, what's that environment that enables everyone to really thrive for what you've hired them for. and
Yes.
and because I assume that they're there because there's a fulfillment in the way they can express their talent, and
Correct, correct.
their identity is not a factor, or being a
Yes.
provinciano is not a factor, or
Yes.
taking medication for mental health is not a factor, diba? Parang I guess that's how I would approach it, so to speak. But that's,
Yeah.
yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. Kasi parang yung shinare sa amin ng one of my teammates was pero yung napa-out, sabi niya nag-out nga siya. Tapos sabi ko, oh, bakit? I mean, syempre, hindi ko naman sinabi bakit ngayon lang. But parang, yes, definitely. Kasi parang yung comment niya, kasi parang super straight kayo lahat. Tapos parang sabi ko, but a lot of people inside parang knows a lot of others parang from the LGBTQ community. And in fact, parang meron nga kami ibang members. But siguro nga, hindi sila talking about it. So that's why the new person who came in wasn't so sure. Tapos biglang napashare siya. Tapos I go, okay, welcome. And we're happy that you're able to feel comfortable enough na nga to
uh
really come out.
It's either that kasi, or talagang it's not even a subject to come out to, meaning it's so comfortable. Or the opposite, Dar, ha? The opposite. Diba?
I realized that I had a meeting with people from Facebook the other day, and the way that they started their conversations, because everybody in the group they were all new. They were introducing themselves in pronouns first. So, hi, I'm Kat. I am a she, her, etc. And even if majority of them were cis and straight, they made it a point to be vocal about that. This is who I am, because you can never assume. right? And I think having something as little as that, like that attention to detail, also enables people to think like, okay, I can be myself here. I can introduce myself in the proper pronoun, and those things make a
Yes.
huge difference in the conversation as well.
Yeah. Sabi nga sa akin, Kat, may friend ako. Oh my God, parang lahat na lang iisipin ko. Now, when I say, hi guys, am I being insensitive? Diba? Kasi that's the other extreme point, diba? Na parang,
Yeah.
now do you have to parang guard yourself, think about it 24/7.
Yeah.
Parang, parang sabi ko sa kanya, if you want to look at it that way, sure. But I think the way you're looking at it is parang flawed, so to speak. Kasi parang ako, if it becomes natural to your vocabulary, it will become second nature. It's just that you have to accept right now that you have unconscious bias, and everyone has,
Yes.
because we all grew up in an environment that's also homophobic, and
Yes.
we bring that anywhere we go, right? So when you
Yeah.
say, hey guys, it's unconscious. So don't beat yourself to it, but it is your
Mm-hmm.
responsibility likewise thereafter to make
Mm.
sure that you kind of train yourself that there are other ways to say hi guys, right? Or but it's no longer, huwag ka rin maparanoid na parang nasa stress ka na everything you say might be incorrect. But you have to
Mm-hmm.
call yourself
Correct.
out. Be the one to call yourself out in your private time and kind of learn from it, di ba?
Yeah.
So, di ba?
See Kelly from the comment section saying they change it to "Hey folks," so that's also
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, guys, if you have any folks, by the way, folks, if you have any questions, if you have any questions and comments and thoughts about what our topic, please feel free to just chime in. We're here for you. JC is here to also share his thoughts as well. So we would love to hear more of your questions and thoughts. So yeah, you know what? On that topic of not of unconscious bias or unconsciously being able to not being
Nako, like
aware.
examples dyan, Kat.
Yeah,
Go.
maybe we can
Ayun,
Go.
start.
pa-share ng mga
Maybe you can share
examples
with us
for
some of these.
awareness. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. Di ba, sabi ko nga, parang we all grew up with homophobia. Everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Di ba? And
Mhm.
you carry that as you grow old.
Yeah.
Right? So unconsciously, meron ka talagang bias. So accept mo na yon, di ba? Even
Correct.
a gay person has bias. Promise.
Yes.
Di ba? So, kasi yung example is, if you don't see regularly that there is an LGBT chief executive officer, CEO, parang the first yata in the Fortune
Yes.
500 is Tim Cook eh.
Yung cook.
Diba?
Mm-hmm.
So imagine, if hindi ka sanay makakita noon, pag
Correct.
nagkaroon ng bading na CEO, meron kang unconscious bias na may ma-reaction na sayang, bakla. Diba? Or if you didn't grow up with gay men who are, let's say, masculine, or vice versa, if you've always grown up with gay men who are feminine, because you see another spectrum of a rainbow, diba?
Yeah.
So
Mm-mm.
may unconscious kang bias, kahit positive tong statement na sasabihin ko, may unconscious bias na, hindi pala parlorista lang ang bading. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
passive aggressive yun pero you get me. May mga
Yeah.
unconscious bias na gano'n, di ba? Like, ako nga, unconscious bias, parang 3 years ago lang ako first time nakamit ng isang trans man. I was so amazed. Parang, di ba? So, and di ba, may mga ganong biases. Some people think na sayang ka naman, or di ba, marami talaga nangyayari even in the workplace na hindi mo kaya yan kasi ganito, or
Correct. Yeah.
feminine yung brand, yung bading na lang yung account manager. Diba? So yung mga stuff like that are unconscious, pero parang hindi, unconscious kasi in Tagalog, di mo sinasadya, diba?
Correct.
Pero basically, unconscious ka. But the resolution, really, I think, of unconscious bias is check yourself, diba? To check yourself
Correct.
and educate yourself. It's not my job to educate you, or diba?
Mm-hmm.
It's your job to kind of open your laptop, Google it, or YouTube it kung gusto mong visual. I mean, maraming pwedeng gawin, so to speak. So hard, the unconscious bias. Kayo,
Mahirap
naka-experience
nga.
na kayo nun?
Mahirap yung unconscious bias kasi well, ako personally when I started working, the unconscious bias naman on me was that I'm too young and I'm too vocal as a woman. So like
Mm.
I met like some this in my I think at my hindi ko basta in my work when I joined this company, yung boss ko na guy, as in grabe, the makismo, grabe, as in sobra. Eh, medyo, I don't know, I grew up in a more liberal environment wherein I was like really encouraged to be independent, to be strong, and so on. So, nati-trigger talaga ako pag gano'n, parang minamaliit ka. So, parang minamaliit ako na bata ako, minamaliit ako na babae ako. Parang gano'n.
Yeah.
So, parang I don't deserve the position. I don't deserve to speak. As in, may ganong levels na
It's the
bawal
same
ako magsalita.
structure. It's the same structure, no? Iba lang yung execution. Pero
Yes, correct,
same eh.
correct. I
Same
agree.
siya.
So,
Same.
sobrang hirap.
I feel the same way with you, Dar. They said masyado akong ambisyosa. That's what I heard naman.
Mm-mm.
Because young and a
Mm-mm.
lot of people would just comment na parang, she, hindi naman siya nagbubuhat ng sariling bangko. Pero she got there because of her looks. And I'm like, wait, no, I'm not. So it takes a lot more work to constantly prove yourself. And I think this is also something that people, the LGBTQ community, also struggle with. Like, it's so hard to
Kapagod.
get into, diba?
Correct,
Get
correct.
into jobs that, for example, are very dominated by men. For example, LGBTQ members that are pilots or engineers and all of these things. Parang they have to go the extra mile to prove their worth and their capability. And it's
Mm-mm.
in the same way with women. Here in the Philippines, the gender parity isn't
Yeah.
as obvious. We're actually number one in terms of parity. But it's a completely different story globally, and this is a reason why we have JC here talking about this and making us more aware of the unconscious things that we do almost every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Super hard, no? Miski ako ha, like, so you try to correct yourself talaga every day. And sometimes you'll succeed to remember it. Sometimes you won't. But
Mm-mm.
you get better at it, I think. I just hope that when you do these, it's really unconscious, diba? Number one. And you're
Correct.
coming from a place of
Yes.
without malice talaga.
Yeah. There's a question here. Jel Fernandez says, "Hi, I'm loving this topic. How do you correct someone for using correct pronouns without starting a difficult conversation?" So I think this person
There.
probably was misgendered or said the wrong pronoun. How do you
I
correct them?
I think making it a difficult conversation is a choice.
Mm,
Number one, you don't have to make it a difficult conversation, right? But if you see that it was a human error talaga, it's just as easy as correcting. No, no, no. My name is JC, not Hotase, right? It's as easy as that, or just saying no, no, no. My pronoun. I prefer to be called a he, or a she, or diba? Just
yeah.
a quick correction. Make sure that it's not a big fuss. But I think naman
Yes.
you'd know if it's deliberate, diba? If there's
Correct,
Mm-mm.
a
correct.
deliberate or just a slip of a tongue kasi nga unconsciously sanay na sanay siyang ganun yung
Yeah.
pronouns niya.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
it's a decision for us not to blow it up or to decide that
Yes.
it's just a learning moment and make them a
Yeah.
teaching moment, so to speak.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. I think that's what makes it, I guess, difficult for some in a more radical sense, where they make the mistake when they make unconscious bias, maybe a typo, and
Yeah,
they automatically assume that there's no teaching moment. We're in a cancel culture kind
correct.
of thing, and it's really hard to do that. Whether it's in you're talking about the environment or you're talking about mental health, women empowerment, LGBTQ rights, whatever it is, we always have to come from a place of empathy and compassion towards others. You don't
Yeah,
want to be giving them the same kind of harsh reaction or harsh
Yes.
call
attitude.
out.
Correct. You don't have
Mm-mm.
to do that also.
Correct,
It can
correct.
always come from a place of learning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'll tell you two stories. One is yung sometimes you give that advice, diba? And I give the same. Try to make it a learning moment. Try to make it a
Mm-mm.
learning moment. And I was talking to a trans woman, and for her, parang badly put lang to just to clarify the example. Parang
Yeah.
for her, 10 years na ako nag-learning moments, galit na ako on the 11th year. So imagine then 10 years na
Tama
siyang
naman.
nagtitimpe, 'di ba? So may
Tama.
mga ganong
Correct, correct.
sensitivity. Pero I also know some trans people na kasi I'm sorry for saying trans na parang zero-zeroin ko because sila yung pinaka nami-misgender all the time.
Mm.
Correct,
Mm-mm.
correct.
I also have transgender friends na nagsasabing, actually I don't care. It's not a big deal for me.
Yeah.
Parang may ganun talaga, but I think regardless of those things, check yourself, diba? Talagang
Mm-mm.
aralin mo rin and try to improve on how it is. So hard.
Mhm.
It's good insight, JC.
Yeah. There's a one of the insights or questions that we have also here in the backstage is that parang in terms of our society or the companies that we have, are we in the Philippines, let's say just in Metro Manila, are we generally more inclusive or are we just tolerant?
Hmm. I I I haven't read any local studies on it though, but I think we are um, uneducatedly inclusive. Like
Uneducatedly. Okay.
parang when it's convenient, we don't need to
Yeah.
research on it and it's nice. But when it becomes tricky nga, hindi niya na-research kasi, hindi niya napag-aralan. So it becomes a miscom and it becomes this big
Mm-mm.
thing.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Whether you wanna call it, then you brand it, you were just tolerating me pala. It's an afterthought, nagiging afterthought that, no, you were just tolerating
Yeah.
me. Parang, does that make sense?
It
Yeah,
does.
actually, JC, sobrang what I love about your energy and how you're approaching this whole thing. It's really that this conversation is really a two-way conversation or three-way, four-way, like different sides of parang coming in together and just sharing what do I see, diba? And what
uh,
is my experience and being open with
kasi we
our
don't have it all
biases.
naman di ba? We don't have
Correct,
all the
correct.
answers.
Exactly.
Everything is just an anecdote you synthesize and put it in your library.
Yeah. And I love it kasi na parang yun nga, let's have conversations na where I like this other acronym bags. There's no blame, there's no anger, there's no guilt. Parang you're just coming from don't add the bags to like different conversations. So you
Pero
just
I'll say something about that. Yes, don't add baggage, pero bring something to the table. So, for example, I've always been asked this question recently. So, Jace, how do you define an ally? Diba?
okay, that's a
And,
great
and,
question.
and I always
Yeah.
answer it this way. You know, um, I need to learn about pregnant women to be able to be sensitive about they needing a breast pump station. So I needed to
Yes.
educate myself. No pregnant mom needed to educate me. I had my own volition to educate. Obviously, I will never know what it is to be like a mom, but I have made some effort, and that's me coming into a table and bringing something to the table.
Yes.
There are moments in my life, and I love my straight friends, for example. Um, they ask me so many things, and obviously, sure, no biggie, I'll answer you. But I also tell them after I answer them, pero dude, Google mo rin, ha? Kasi, kasi sa akin, if you wanna be part of my life, and I'm part of your life, I understand your world, and hopefully you understand mine. And that's allyship, I think. A two-way allyship, di ba?
Yes.
Na hindi
You
ko
bring
naman,
something then.
hindi
Yeah.
ko trabahong explain sa'yo yung SOGIE. Di ba? Kung gusto mong alamin yung mundo ko, alamin mo siya. 'Di ba? Kasi ako, gusto kong alamin yung buhay mo eh. Kamusta na anak mo? How it is to be a
Mm-mm.
parent, 'di ba? And this is not a turuan ha. I'm just saying a
Mm-mm.
contextual conversation with friends na
Correct,
And
correct. Agree.
I don't need to blow it up, 'di ba? Pwede namang joke,
Correct.
dude. Google mo rin, 'di ba? I mean, it doesn't have
Yes,
to
yes, exactly.
blow up like, 'di
Yes.
ba? So
Mm-hmm.
so in the context that we were talking about kanina, parang that's how allyship talaga for me is. Para
Yeah.
lang you don't just not bring bags to the table, but you bring something valuable to the
Yes.
relationship, 'di ba?
Mm-mm.
Kasi I think hindi rin tama na puro na lang learning moment.
Yes. Dapat may
Mag-Google ka rin.
initiative. Dapat may
Oo.
initiative.
Hindi naman pwedeng
Correct,
lahat
correct.
ano, 'di ba, learning moment. Ano
Yeah.
ako, library mo, parang gano'n. You get
I
so
think,
balance talaga, 'di ba?
I think
Uh-huh.
for the most part, it starts off as that. And I think
Oo.
it's the same with for example, learning about the environment, climate change, and mental health, or the struggles of
Mm-hmm.
women. They don't know it until like they're faced with it, because some of us live under that bubble. Na parang, okay, this is my
Yes.
world, and I know these rules. This is how I grew up, and it does take some time to kind of unlearn all of these things, unlearn
Yeah.
things that were taught to you, things that were said to you, even if you really don't, feel you don't want to be a bad person. So
Yeah.
education is very good, JC. I echo that. And also being able to consciously surround yourself with a diversity of people, different people,
Yes.
and be good friends with them and see them more than their
Mm-hmm.
gender is very
Correct,
important.
correct.
Because from there, it's you start to see them more than just, okay, LGBT. So an ally
Beyond.
kasi, yeah, I'm an ally kasi
Definitely
friend ko
beyond.
siya. Hindi
Para
ko
may
Yeah.
lang
medal, no? No, no, I'm an
oo.
ally. May,
Oo.
ito yung mga statement. No, no, ang dami kong friends na bading.
Yes!
Alay ako.
Yes!
Ha?
That's not what it is.
Parang hindi yun automatic, di ba? You can be
Yeah.
di ba? Sobrang iba.
When you
Kakatawa.
start,
Then sometimes, alam mo, pag nagte-text sa akin,
oo.
lalo na yung straight friends kong guys talaga, yung tipong basketball level na guys.
Yeah.
Tapos, may papadalang kunyari meme o kaya link na article. Natatawa ako dahil kahit sometimes mali, it's just charming to me that they're trying.
Mm.
You get me? Na parang, okay. Sige, I'll explain that to you later. Pero you get me? Pero nakikita ko yung effort na wants to understand
Yeah.
my side of the world. Diba?
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Ang ganda. Ang daming
Yun
natatawa
ito
sa'yo, JC,
tolerate ko. Ay,
sa
sorry.
comments.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. Being able to surround yourself with people. And it feels good also. I
Correct.
hear that thing a lot. Yung pag kunyari lang sabihin nilang, alay ako kasi dami kong friends na ano.
Yeah.
It's really more than that. Seeing people of the community as more than just the gender. They're achievers. They're
Yes.
family men,
Mm-hmm.
family women, their daughters, sons. So the part of really what being an ally means is to see them as equals,
Yeah.
not separate.
Equals. Equals. May analogy nga ako dyan eh. You know, in a racetrack, let's say we're all runners. When the gun parang popped, the assumption was pantay-pantay tayo sa track.
Mm-mm.
But actually, there are sectors that started the run way behind, and someone was starting the run up front. Diba? The idea sana is that we're just all starting at the same line.
Line, yes, correct.
Diba? And let our talents shine all together. Utopic, but sana, diba? That's the
Mm-hmm.
goal.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Ang ganda. I love this topic, and I think a lot of people in the chat are also really, really happy with the topic today. I hope na this, if you haven't been talking about it, that this be the start that you guys start educating yourself and learning more about
Yeah.
this fight for equality, whatever
Mm-hmm.
gender you identify yourself as.
Yeah.
This year parang we normally do a Pride March online for the past 2 years. This
Yeah.
year we changed the concept and we pivoted it. Parang we wanted people to march to vote, to register to vote, because parang the price to pay is equality. Parang the SOGIE bill is on the table, and sana
Yes.
you start registering to vote,
Yes.
because you can empower your vote later on to make that SOGIE bill happen, whatever version that would be later on, right? So that's what we called. You can visit it at www.pridemarchtovote.com.
pridemarchtovote.com.
Nag-plug.
Yes,
Go.
go lang. Eh, ano
Let's
natin
hype
yan? Wait
that.
lang.
Yeah,
www.pridemarchtovote.
marchtovote.com.
Yeah, while Dara's typing that, there's another question from Jel.
Yes.
JC, what would be your advice to someone who's having a hard time coming out due to fears of not being accepted by the ones they love and care for?
Yeah, I think don't be too hard on yourself. Coming out is really a process, but the first process of coming out is coming out to yourself. People think that coming out is coming out to someone else, but the
Mm.
first step of coming out is really coming out to yourself and accepting who you are. Because once you have that, you'll be so much empowered to talk to people. Now, let's talk about repercussions. You might lose friends, you might even lose family, but um, you now weigh what's important. Maybe you're meant to lose them. I know that's painful to say, but you didn't lose yourself.
Yes.
Maybe time will heal, maybe never, maybe it will be too late for some people, but maybe you're really meant to move on without that person. So I think it's easier said than done, really. And I remember coming out, that was the same thing, because I had great straight friends, and especially the guy friends. Parang sabi ko nga, I might lose them
Mm-mm.
because I'll come out, no. But you'll be surprised. You'll lose some people, definitely. Siguro I lost what, 20%, but the 80%, my God, the bond is stronger. It's as if there's nothing being, everything's out in the table, and it's such a deeper relationship altogether. I
Yeah.
remember coming out to my mom, sabi ko sa mom ko, ma, di ako magnanakaw, bading lang ako. Diba? So it gives you a sharp contrast of perception and who you just really are. And, the
Mm-hmm.
bonds become stronger after that. So parang keep it, don't be too hard on yourself, number one. Come out to yourself first, number two, because that's the biggest muscle that will pull you together. Because you might lose people, accept that. But the people who will stay, oh my God, unimaginable deepness of connection, because you're really sharing who you are. So,
Yes.
parang,
I love
so,
that.
diba? Kasi it's hard talaga to
Mm-mm.
come out. Oh my God. So hard to come out. I didn't come out, actually. I waited for my parents to ask me. So may marami akong ginawa para lang tanungin na lang nila ako. Mas madaling tanungin na lang nila ako. So, yeah. Ready to lose
Really.
everything. Dapat.
Thanks for sharing, JC.
Yeah. Thank you for your courage and thank you for sharing your story.
No,
I
no,
really
thank
love
you.
ang ganda ng conversation natin tonight and we're very just happy to be able to share the stage with you and share this time with you. Thank you for your time. And just a reminder to everyone watching us tonight, please do sign up to get a chance to win our prize at go.bdj.studio/sign up. And we're giving away prize. And please, of course, share your takeaway. So, hindi pwedeng ano, bring something to the table din, guys. So, share your takeaway. So, guys, Kat and JC, we have an outro question that we ask all our guests. So it's a special question. We change it up every month.
Oh,
So for
wow.
this month, the question is, what is your favorite? What strength is your personal favorite? Like with all the strengths that you have, your talents, what's your
Hmm.
favorite strength?
I'll answer it
Hmm.
first na lang.
Go.
Go, go.
I feel like I want to say, I've never said this out loud. I feel like my strength is really in my anxieties and in my fears. I remember talking to you guys earlier about like, okay, there's things that's happening in my personal life that is just throwing me in a loop. But I noticed, and in hindsight, anything that I've ever done during the face of anxiety and in the face of fear has been some of my most proud moments, because I got to go through that in spite of it. And being able to recognize now, ang sabi nila, I am reading this book called First We Make the Beast Beautiful, and the beast being anxiety. We need to recognize it. It's not fully, while there are these things that are not within our control, we need to be able to understand and recognize them as key strengths. And that's what I feel strongly as something unique and important to me, so that I can become stronger tomorrow, the next day, forever.
Nice. That's amazing.
I thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's tough, pero it's mindset, no? Super
Mm-mm.
mindset. For me, something similar, pero I think I'm quite resilient. I being a young CEO also when I was young, um, parang I was really forced to wear. And this is gonna be a sexist comment. Sorry, I don't mean it in a sexist way. I was I was I was forced to wear the pants at a very young age, make
Mm-mm.
certain decisions, diba? Stuff like that, and parang my logic and resilience enables me to have deleted the word failure in my life, and I've always treated failure as a way to optimize, to be better, to be just to learn better, better, better. So when I do get failures, sometimes people get amazed na parang after 30 minutes, I
Okay
can
ka
move
na.
forward. Because parang na short circuit ko yung brain ko na hindi yan failure. It's just a way for you to look at another way or another way or another way. Sabi ko nga sa therapist ko, and I do therapy also, sabi ko, you think I'm resilient? Or after a while, sasabog na ako bigla. Kasi ako, parang, kasi parang walang failure, di ba? So parang
Oo.
sometimes sabi sa therapist ko, am I just putting everything under the rug and then one day it's gonna explode? Sabi niya, no, no, no. You have to give yourself credit because maybe you've really found a way to kind of maneuver your head when there's
When
a
something,
trial in your
yeah.
life. Sabi mo yan, kasi pag ako bigla sumabog, bigla, alam mo yun, di ba? Sometimes that's in the back of my head, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. And then mamaya, biglang boom.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my word. I'm quite resilient. I'm very grateful that I am, because I can help other people that may not have that luck, so to speak,
Mhm.
in life. Not that I'm a saint, but yeah.
Naka-relate ako doon. Like, one of the, parang yung joke sa akin naman ng therapist ko was that my emotions are 6 years delayed. Yung parang hindi nagsisink in. Parang, ano lang, very logic. Tapos hindi siya nag-ground with the emotion. It's, syempre, dapat aligned, di ba? Your mind, your heart, and your body, dapat aligned ka.
Yeah.
So, but I I think I've grown naman. But in the earlier years talaga, grabe, that was my challenge. And you're right, like parang sometimes I would like talk myself. Na parang, I think sa akin, it was more suppression of emotions versus really accepting that these are the emotions and then making a choice to see it in a
Right.
different way. So I think yun yung medyo nuance eh, 'di ba? Na
Mm-mm.
sinosuppress mo
Stoic.
ba,
Uh,
ina-acknowledge mo ba, 'di ba? Or oo. So
mm-mm.
but with me that was like one of the things that I had to, I guess, overcome. And personally, the strength naman that my personal favorite recently is really my futures or possibilities thinking, nag-imbento. Parang in general
Ang
lang,
tawag ko dyan, the secret.
the secret.
Uh,
Parang mabilis ako makakita
Manifest.
ng mga connections and, oh, this is possible and this is possible. So, sometimes it's good for me because it excites me. Sometimes siguro my other people around me gets like overwhelmed because I get so many ideas. But I think right now that's a joy that I have right now because I think it,
discovery.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then with all the challenges that we have, I guess that's something I can hold on to at this time.
Yeah, that's quite important, diba? At least you
Mm-mm.
see things differently.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, I really had a great time also with you too. Parang super super nice and fluid conversation. I hope I
Yeah.
made sense.
You
Yeah,
did.
Absolutely.
You did. You did.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It was really
super
great
fun.
insight. And everybody is also saying that they were happy to join this live. Thank you so much again, JC, for gracing us today. And happy Pride.
Happy
Yes. Happy
Pride.
Pride
Happy
Month.
Pride. Thank you for
So
having.
that's our show for tonight. So thank you, Kat, JC, and thank you everyone for joining us tonight and for we'll just have a shout out for the team replay. So team replay, you can still join the go.bdj.studio /sign up for those watching us tomorrow or later tonight. And please do catch us again for our next episode with Mind Nation in the fourth Wednesday of the month in July.
Yes.
So
If you
thank
guys
you.
have any
Sorry, go.
concerns with LGBTQ coming out, other mental health problems, you know where to find us. Facebook.com/The Mind Nation. 24/7 chat yan. It's absolutely free. We're here to talk to you anytime. Thank you again.
And
Thank you.
pridemarchtovote.com.
Yes,
Yeah.
Pride March to vote, guys.
Thank
Thank
Splash natin
you.
you.
yan. Okay, thank you everyone. Good night.
Night.